African National Congress has released the full list of its members who will form part of a task team that will look into the State Capture Commission's report. The task team, which was established at the party's NEC meeting earlier this year, will be convened by Jeff Radebe, other members including Minister Ronald Lamula, Togo Didiza, Naledi Pandor, and Joe Neshitenze, as well as Lindiwe Masego. The ANC has maintained its support for the Commission's work, saying it will put mechanisms in place to deal with allegations leveled against its members in the report. However, the governing party says it will allow its members implicated in the report to challenge the findings against them. For more reaction to that, now we are joined by ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe. Pule, good to have you with us tonight here on In Focus. You've already indicated that there will be a task team put together. Now you are releasing names of who will be on that task team. Immediately, my question would be, particularly if you look at the report, third part of it, where the party itself is implicated more than the individuals who are already implicated in that report. But the party itself and its activities is actually implicated. How does a task team made up of ANC members deal with a report that implicates the party as a whole?
Well, evening, Thabo, and evening to your viewers. Just to remind your viewers that it was the African National Congress back in 2017 through its 54th National Conference that took a decision to ultimately allow for this Commission on State Capture to be established. The ANC went further to appeal to its own individual cadres to make themselves available when so invited to appear before the Commission, so that if there are issues that they may be in the know of, if they were either in institutions of state or they might have played another role that must have been somewhat been mentioned in the work that the Commission is doing. The only proper way is to allow them to appear before the Commission and be able to present a vision. We were not saying cadres must go there for purposes of being incriminated and all of that, because we understood that if members of the ANC, individual leaders of the ANC, those that have been deployed in institutions of state, don't make themselves available, they will effectively hamper the work of the Commission. I mean, there are certain lessons that we are drawing. We are the first party in this country to have allowed for that kind of a resolution, so that if there are things that did not go right, we are then able to draw lessons and then say the kind of a transformative agenda that we want to drive as part of the renewal of the African National Congress, what is it that we ought to avoid? Now, what the Commission on State Capture does is that it empowers us. That the first thing that you need to first establish is that, was our state captured? If it was, what are these areas of capture that we are talking about? Are these things that we can be able to avert if indeed they have taken place? Yeah. What do we need to do? Yeah. In 2015, in 2016 and 2017, both at the National General Council and as well as the Policy Conference of the ANC, we talk about the restoration of the credibility of the African National Congress. Yeah. And in there, we begin talking about stepping aside, for instance, when you are criminally charged in a court of law, yeah, so that your own issues, what you are going through as an individual, do not affect what you are expected to fulfill in the organization. Now today, at the advice of the Treasurer General, who's now responsible for the Secretary General's office, we have since issued the statement that now places the names of those that the NEC of January had agreed on out in the public. Yeah. It is very important, so that, I mean, we spoke to you yesterday, so that people don't think that we are glossing over issues. Yeah. And also, Thabo, to at least put context to what you said before we started. We are not saying individual members can go and challenge the report. No, we put that line in the statement because already there were our national chair, because of him being mentioned in this last part, had already indicated to the media that he will subject that part of the report, yes, to a judicial review. Right. We have said that where individual members are electing to exercise their rights, right, for as long as those rights are accorded and provided for within the constitutional framework, they may consider
But what is the role of the task team? What are you putting them together to do?
Well, Thabo, here is a report. I mean, these reports are coming in volumes and volumes. You have had the first part, the second part, and now is the third part. It's huge reports. You need to have a guided response of the African National Congress, and you can only be able to have that if you have got a dedicated team that also brings with it legal experts as well. If you check the team, Comrade Jeff, Comrade Lamula, Comrade Lindiwe Maseko, just to mention a few, they bring with them that they come from that legalistic background. You've got Comrade Togo Didiza, a long-standing member of the African National Congress, has been in the position of leadership, understand the moral and ethical foundation that the ANC is seeking to drive. You have got one of our policy gurus, Comrade Joel Nekitenze, who has also been there.
So what was the criteria of selecting? Were they to have legal background, they to have history in the party?
Well, not necessarily, but you needed to make sure, because, I mean, the Zondo Commission is on its own a legal process.
Yeah.
So it's important that when you engage on legalistic process, well within your very ranks, you also tap into those that might have the requisite understanding of some of those. But you didn't just limit there. I mean, I was giving a simple example with Comrade
No, I just want to get a sense of the criteria. Were you preempting with this task team a situation that was raised by the chairperson that some are going to use the state capture report as an axe against comrades, and therefore you're trying to find a political vehicle to manage the fallout from the state capture report?
Well, Thabo, I can assure you and the viewers of Newzroom that we will never allow internal process of the ANC to be used to muzzle out individual cadres of the movement. We don't do that. Every time when we implement decisions of the collective, of which we all stand loyal to, we make sure that those decisions allow us to execute the work of the African National Congress in the most prudent manner. And that in the execution of that work, we have to remove suspicion and reassure all of those cadres that might be invited to appear before this task team so that they can give their own vision, that there is no intention on the part of these structures to try and really resolve our own internal political issues. You see, we had a briefing earlier today, and one of your journalists raised a question that the disbandment of structures, are we not doing it to try and make sure that we could install in their place those structures that are at least aligned to somewhat, not in so many ways, somewhat aligned to our own positions? It doesn't happen like that. The ANC sit down and say, we have got a rule book in the form of the Constitution. The Constitution outlines the term of office for structures. Because the social space had shrunk because of COVID, our structures could not meet. But now the social space is open. Meetings are opened. Numbers that are allowed together are those numbers that effectively make up gatherings of the African National Congress. So you can no longer have a reason to keep structures whose mandate has lapsed, even when they now have got an opportunity. The space has now been opened for them to be able to gather and democratically decide on who must effectively take over the reins.
But you're a political organization. Obviously, everything that you do is political. So even moves like that are viewed as a political strategy. But here's my point, though, that I wanted to get to. In fact, your opening line was, it was the party that recommended that this commission be put together to look into the matters of state capture. Are you not once again conflating here what is a state process and what is a party process?
Yes. Now, while we always have got to make sure that there's a clear distinction between the party and state, but it is the party that contests state power, and the party uses something called a manifesto. The party says on justice, on fighting corruption. So the ANC is not a blind organization. The ANC goes to elections with a clear program. It says we want to eradicate the bucket system. On justice, we want to fight corruption. And we believe that part of the things that we could do, should we win power, is to establish this kind of commissions. And you'd find that our manifesto is not always similar to what other political parties would be promising South Africans. Now, when these things are being implemented, because it is the things that are there in our resolutions and it is the things that have been expressed in our own manifesto.
Yeah.
If they've done the work of restoring the credibility and integrity of state institutions, we must take ownership. Right. Because we came up, I mean, the ANC stands up and say, we want to create an ethical and moral base and foundation through which we'll be able to run structures of government, through which we'll be able to govern, make sure that monies that are kept in the kitty, in the national fiscus, are committed to fulfill the promises we have made to the people of South Africa, and that those men and women that we entrust with the responsibility to discharge such an obligation, they themselves will make sure that the ANC becomes the best amongst the rest. Yeah. Now, these processes are supposed to help us.
That's the process of the ANC. We can't spend R1 billion for the ANC to fix itself. It's taxpayers' money that went into the Commission of Inquiry.
Correct.
If you wanted to fix the ANC, you must fix the ANC yourself. You've got your own instruments. Whether the Integrity Commission, whether whatever task team that you put within the party to do that, then you cannot say now, after the nation has spent R1 billion to put this commission together, you are going to find your own response within the party. Why not let the law take its course? They are the people that are implicated. Let them be investigated. The party should not be trying to manage that situation.
I don't think the party is trying to do that, Thabo. The party is not trying to do that at all. You said in your own words that the ANC is being mentioned a lot. We knew when the process started that it will somewhat place the ANC on trial. Our own president had appeared before the commission in his capacity as president of the African National Congress to clarify how deployment committees of the African National Congress and all our other structures would have functioned. It is not R1 billion that is being spent to resolve branch general meetings of the ANC. Remember, it is the work that the ANC, or the work that that would have attracted the attention of the ANC, because it would have been a governing party. When you are a governing party, you are entrusted by citizens of the country with the responsibility of running and managing state affairs. Yeah. Now, if it comes up that there might have been certain leakages, so these are not leakages within structures of the ANC. We're not saying, no, state capture, can you check if Thabo, who was supposed to be chairperson of Ward 7, why was he not elected? No, we say we presided over SOEs as a governing party. Yes. So let us establish whether these SOEs, these state-owned enterprises, had fulfilled what was expected to be their mandate. The boards, did they act in the most prudent of manners? Yeah. Can we say so? Because that's why the first question you need to first ask was there state capture? Yes. If it was, what amount of blight did it leave on our own institutions of state? Yeah. And is there still an opportunity for us to be able to correct all of this and create an ethical framework that ensures that those that go on to lead or occupy positions of leadership in these structures do not take us back? Yeah. So we are saying, okay, look at this issue of state capture, check if it did not reverse some of the democratic gains that we've made since 1994.
So what is the mandate then of this task team to respond to, for example, a individual private company that is able to advance gratuity to senior leaders of the ANC to the extent of getting a contract in government worth 2.7 billion? I think that's what they're saying. What did you say the task team must do? Because this is what they're going to be confronted with.
Well, of course, I mean, these issues are already out there in the public. They've been televised and all of that, you know. Is that, of course, reports need to be studied so that you then understand how certain recommendations are formulated. So we say the ANC must have a guided response. And for the ANC to be able to have a guided response, seeing that it is the single biggest political party that would have been mentioned there, more than any other political party. So we ought to then say, what becomes the response of the ANC? Having looked at, so do we have to change how we operate as an organization? Are there things that internally that we need to really work on. So it's a number of lessons. It's not just about incriminating individuals.
Yeah. But you already have a renewal committee.
Correct. I mean, it's part of us understanding this. When we spoke about the renewal commission at that seminal occasion of our 110th anniversary, it was on that occasion that we once more affirmed our support of the work for the work of the commission. Yeah. And we then said we will do certain things as part of formulating our response to this. Now, what did we do? When we went to the NEC of the 20th to the 22nd of January, then we began implementing. Look at how fast we're moving. Yeah. We began now implementing that very commitment we made to the people of this country.
Right.
We are now coming to you and now unveiling those names.
Let's talk about that speed. How soon do you expect this task team to conclude its work?
Well, we are expecting them to, of course, they will have to study reports. They will have to be guided by when the last reports would be issued, because you don't also expect them to work in drips and drabs. They will then formulate their own approach, and then will be able to then update the National Executive Committee. And should it happen that sooner than later they feel or are of the view that some of the things or the work that they've already done requires that they need to come out and brief the public, we will be able to coordinate that. What we are now doing is to now unveil that what we were telling you yesterday was not just lip service.
I see.
Work is being done. You now have got a team of men and women capable enough to be able to guide the response of the ANC on this matter.
Willem, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for coming in tonight. A spokesperson for the African National Congress joining us tonight to explain then what those names are going to be responsible for doing within the party as they look at the outcomes of the state capture report.